Hello everybody and welcome to the Dragon's Lair. My name is Wade and I have a YouTube channel, a TikTok, and an Instagram where I go through and I talk about and share a lot of the nerdy things that I love. And that's what the Dragon's Lair is all about, is amazing things that I love that I want to share with people. Today we're going to talk Warhammer. This is a part of my show called Let's Talk Warhammer. I have a bunch of different shows. There's only lore, playtest, different things like that. Go ahead and check me out in the different places that you find me. There's going to be links and descriptions and things like that. But basically on TikTok and Instagram, I am _dragons_liar. On YouTube, you can find me as _dragons_liar. I got a lot of content already out there, and I'm always making more stuff. Anyways, let's get to Warhammer. This video is for people who might not know a lot about Warhammer or are interested in Warhammer 40k and looking to get into it. It's called Warhammer 40k because it takes place in the 41st millennium, so the year 40,000. That is why it's called that. It is a tabletop miniature strategy war game. There's a lot of things there. We're going to break it all down a little bit. Okay, so tabletop. It's played on the surface of a table. But you need a lot of space sometimes. So some tables are like 4 foot by 4 foot, or you can play on the tables that I prefer, which I get a piece of OSB board, I slap some sides on it. I'm sure you'll see it sooner or later. And so that is 4 foot by 8. It gives a lot of extra space to put your books and your dice and your miniatures and things like that. So that is the tabletop part of it. It's a miniatures game. So with a miniatures game, Games Workshop is the name of the company who owns it. It's a British company. They sell you miniatures that comes on sprues. You cut the pieces out of the sprues and then you glue them together yourself and then you paint them yourself. Or you can have somebody else paint it. I have a couple friends that are just expert great painters. But what you can achieve with this is you can achieve some really cool models. Really cool models, right? So that's a big flying bug, for example. And here is a vehicle. Pretty cool. I assembled these and painted these myself. Well, this is not painted, but anyways. Those are kind of bigger models. Smaller models are more to this scale. Once again, my bugs. Okay, so tabletop miniature strategy. There's a lot of different ways to play 40k. 40k is highly customizable, and that's one of the greatest things about it. You can do it your way. There are people who like to do it to match the story and the lore and the history. That's completely fine. There's people that like to make their own stuff, which is completely awesome. It's a great place for creative people to come together and share something. And then war game. I mean, you do assemble armies. They do fight each other. There's lots of shooting and explosions and fighting and death and killing. And it's a game. Doesn't have to be gory. Doesn't have to be. It's not evil or anything like that. It's just miniatures and they fight. Okay, so we've got tabletop miniature strategy war game. We got that taken care of. So it's highly customizable. That's one thing I love about it. You can do it your way. There's a lot of different armies or factions, if you will. Some people say there's up to 24 different factions in Warhammer 40k. Basically, I'm going to oversimplify for you guys. Basically, there's the Imperium of Man, and that covers things like Space Marines, Sisters of Battle, the Astra Militarum, or the Imperial Guard, if you will. There's more examples inside of that envelope of the Imperium of Man, but they are generally perceived or viewed as the good guys. Lore people out there are going to have a field day with that one. Then there are the forces of chaos. Chaos are basically evil gods from another dimension that we accidentally stepped into their dimension and brought them into ours, and they corrupted some of the Imperium of Man, and they are definitely evil gods. I mean, it's just spelled out right out there for you. So there are demons that fight for them and all sorts of crazy things there. And then there's what's known as the Xenos, and the Xenos represent all of the alien races. So inside the alien races, you literally have space elves, space orcs, space dwarves. They're not called space elves, dwarves, and orcs, but that's what they are. And then you have bugs like the Tyranids. You have undead robots like the Necrons. You have blue people with crazy technology. There's a bunch of different Xenos, alien races that you can play, and they're a lot of fun. Each of them have their own models, their own vehicles, their own weapons, their own rules, their own tactics, their own strategies, their own lore, their own playstyle. Highly customizable. I would encourage you to do some research before you jump in to kind of figure out where you want to jump in if you're interested. But you can just really find something that fits you, that suits you, that you enjoy, that you can really pour yourself into. The game is played on a tabletop, like I said, with miniatures. It's a D6 only game, so 6-sided dice only. If you have a bucket of those, you'll have everything that you need pretty much. There are rule books. So like this is the core rule book for 9th edition. That's the edition of the game that we're currently in. As well as each army has its own rule book. It's called a codex. So here are the last 3 previous codexes for the Tyranids. I just happen to have the last 2. So every once in a while, Games Workshop, the company who owns 40K, will redo a codex to bring new models, new rules, freshen up the game, keep things new, balance out power levels. Sometimes things get super powerful in relation to other things, and they try to balance the game a little bit. So they'll put out some content online that modifies things. What is happening in the tournament scene is called the meta. So they're always kind of concerned about the meta. So you take your miniatures and then you deploy them on a table. People take turns putting miniatures on the table. And then when it comes time, you dice off to see who goes first, and then you fight. The game goes through a series of phases. We're not going to get into phases here because I could talk much more than 10 minutes about phases. And these videos are going to be shorter. They're going to be 10-minute videos for TikTok and Instagram. But you go through phases. There are primary objectives and secondary objectives. And as you complete the primary objectives, you gain a certain amount of points. The secondary objectives, you gain a certain amount of points. You add it all up at the end. There's only about 6 turns. And then whoever has the most points wins. There's different ways to score points. It's not just all about killing. You can be clever, you can be crafty, you can be fast, you can be sneaky. You can do all kinds of stuff there. So there's lots of different ways to win. Some of them are customizable. A lot of secondary objectives are unique to your army or your faction. So keep that in mind. There's competitive play. A lot of people who compete competitively go to big tournaments. There's a world championship. There's all kinds of stuff like that. That's a lot of those people are what's called chasing the meta, because they're chasing the game as it evolves throughout the year. Then there's casual play, which is what me and my friends do. It's fun. It's a little competitive. Everyone likes to do well and win, but I play for fun. My friends play for fun. And then there's Crusade, which is a version of the game that's kind of like an RPG, where your units gain experience, they can gain special weapons, they can gain special equipment. I prefer Crusade. I've played a couple great Crusades in the last 2 years with my friends. It's been a really good time. So like I said, this is a part of my show, Let's Talk Warhammer. Like I said, you can find us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Our YouTube videos are a little bit longer because that platform is able to promote that and handle that. You can find us, I'm going to drop links in the description, The Dragon's Lair with spaces in between, or The Dragon's Lair with underscores in between. Those are the 2 ways that you find us. We here at the Dragon's Lair understand that you are most likely a very busy person and your time is very valuable. Maybe you got kids or dogs or go to school or a full-time job or 2 full-time jobs or a significant other. Maybe you have all of that stuff wrapped in together just like we do. So because your time is so valuable, we never want to waste it, and we want to say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all of the time that you spend here with us at the Dragon's Lair.